The topic of the day is ocean currents. General movement of mass of oceanic water in a definite direction is called ocean currents. These are similar like rivers flowing on the surface of the earth. The speed of movement of ocean currents generally varies from 2 kilometer and between 2 kilometer and 10 kilometer per hour. There are two types of ocean currents, the warm current shown with red arrow and the cool current shown with blue arrows. Warm currents are those currents which flow from the lower latitude and towards the tropical zone and higher above in the higher latitudes in the polar and towards the subpolar regions, temperate and the subpolar regions, thus increasing the temperature of the area where they flow. Whereas the cool currents, they flow from higher latitudes towards the low latitude and decrease the temperature where it flows. Ocean currents move water vertically and horizontally, which occur on large scale. Ocean has an interconnected current or circulation system, which is powered by wind, Earth's rotation, the sun provides insulation, and varying density of water, and the topography. There are several factors which are responsible for the flow of ocean currents. Number one factor is variation in the temperature of the sea water. We know that the amount of heat received on the surface of the earth is not the same. Insolation received in the equatorial region is much more than in what it is in the polar areas. Thus, the temperature of ocean water decrease from equatorial regions to the polar areas. Temperature on the surface is more than the temperature towards the bottom of the ocean or the sea. Now, the variation in temperature, it affects the density. Density of water is less in the equatorial region than in the polar areas. As a result, warmer and lighter water from the equatorial regions move towards the polar areas. Now, the next factor is variation in the salinity of ocean water. Sea water, we know, is saline. Water varies from salinity in water, it varies from one place to another. Salinity, it increases the density of water. If two areas have same temperature and the density varies, the area with higher salinity will have greater density than the area with low salinity. Thus, ocean currents are generated from areas of low salinity towards the areas of greater salinity. Dense water, cold water is dense. Dense water, it tends to sink down, and fresh water takes its place. Thus, it causes the circulation. Now, we should take the factors like temperature, salinity, and density of ocean water together and not separately. The water having low density is light. It does expands and moves as the surface current. The water having high density is heavy, thus it sinks. Now, an important factor is the rotation of the Earth. We know Earth's rotation causes Coriolis effect. And due to the Coriolis effect, the ocean currents to the north of equator, they deflect towards their right. And the ocean currents to the south of the equator, they deflect towards their left. Another factor is the direction of prevailing winds. Winds blowing over the water surface makes the water move in the direction they flow. Due to the friction caused by the winds, ocean currents, they flow according to the direction as a result of friction caused by the wind. So the current, it follows the direction of the prevailing winds. For example, in the tropical areas, it is the trade winds that dominate. And trade winds, the direction of their flow is from east to west. Thus, the ocean currents flowing in the tropical region, their direction is from east towards the west. Whereas in the temperate and the subpolar areas, westerlies flow, and we know the direction of the westerlies is from west to east. So the ocean currents here, they also flow along in the same direction. Another factor is the configuration of the coastline. The shape of the coastline, that also influences the natural flow of the ocean currents. It is the shape of the coast which forces the ocean current to change its direction. For example, equatorial current, as it flows, it is obstructed by the Brazilian coast, and it forces the equatorial current to get bifurcated into two. The northern branch of the current, it flows towards the north, enters Gulf of Mexico, and from there Gulf Stream current flows along the northeast and northeast coast of America. And the southern bifurcated southern ocean current it flows parallel to South America coast, known as the Brazilian current. Another factor responsible is the evaporation from the ocean surface. Evaporation and rainwater, they are also related to the oceanic density and salinity of the water. The surface ocean currents, they are generated from areas of high water level caused by heavy rainfall and relatively low evaporation. Similarly, the ocean currents, they are generated in the polar areas due to high water level resulting from low rate of evaporation and abundance of water. Now, why is the abundance of water there in the polar region? Due to the melting of ice. So we can say that the ocean currents, they act like a conveyor belt, transporting the water from the warmer areas towards the cooler areas and from the cooler areas towards the warmer areas. This way, the ocean currents, they regulate the global climate and they help in counteracting the uneven distribution of solar radiation which reaches on the Earth's surface. So without the ocean currents, the regional temperatures would be extreme and the Earth's habitation will become much less. That's all for the day. I hope you found it interesting. Do hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you.